Hello everybody, Keith here again. I hope you can hear me over the rain pitter-pattering on the roof. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do this in bloom at the end of the month video any other day this week. Things are going off. So it's now or never. So please accept my apologies, but there's not an awful lot any of us can do with the weather, is there? Right, so to kick off this month, I want to look at a couple of plants that I'm particularly pleased with. And the first one is this. This is the one I got a no ID from Burnham's a couple of years ago, and somebody said it's probably Zygonissia Rhine Blue Angel. It's flowered for me a number of times before, but it's never flowered like this. One spike's already flowered and been cut off, and we've now got 5 spikes that are coming into either in flower or are in bud. And we've got roots going off out of everywhere. We've got at least one new growth coming up again. So this is a plant and I can't believe how well it's doing. It sits on an upstairs bedroom windowsill where the temperature is probably in the high teens, low 20s. At this time of year certainly that, probably not a lot more in the summer. And it's just doing really, really well. The other one that I am absolutely chuffed to bits with, of course, is my Masdevallia. May or may not be Patricia Hill, but whatever it is, just like the Zygonissia, it is growing like an absolute weed. Again, like the Zygonissia, it's on an upstairs bedroom windowsill, which faces northwest. It's just happy. I mean, it's grew a lot of new growths in the spring and early summer. That slowed down, never quite stopped. It's now flowering. I don't know how many, I can't see any more spikes coming, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 open at the moment. There's been quite a few more. They've already been and gone. And today, when I got it out to water it a little bit earlier on, it's putting out another load of new growths. So, what on earth do I do with it? This is turning into something a bit special very quickly. Do I wait until next spring when it really kicks off again and perhaps pot it up a bit further, try and turn it into something of a specimen plant? Do I split it? I honestly don't know. And if Mick of Mixed Masdevallias is watching this, any comments he might have about what I should do with this, other than keep on keeping on, it's obviously a happy bunny, I'd be very pleased to hear. I bought another Masdevallia at the Welsh Orchid Show about a month ago now. Got this one from Spiceotic Plants. It's doing very well again. We've got some new growths showing up. We've got 2 new spikes which haven't quite opened yet but will do fairly soon, so I'm including that with it. It's lost a few leaves but not very many. We've got lots of roots showing. again, it's doing some slightly strange things. We've got, like here, we've got growth coming out and climbing away. There's more like that in the middle of the plant. I can't help thinking that this really could do with repotting. It's in moss, which may or may not be the ideal thing for this one. This is a species one. This is Nidifica red. I don't know. Do I pot it and put it into a slightly bigger pot? Do I just repot it and leave it in the same size pot for a bit? What do I do about all these bits that are climbing? I really don't know, because I don't keep mazzies. Not really. I certainly haven't kept them long enough to know much about them. So, Mick, if you're watching this, your expertise would be greatly appreciated. This is the first Cattleya I bought. No ID. Doesn't flower that reliably for me. It had a bad year last year, didn't do an awful lot. I repotted it and it's really done well for that, and since I started using CalMag. It usually puts up one new growth on each lead. This year it put one new growth upon one, two new growths upon the other, and the second one, the last one to come up, has flowered. Unfortunately, it blasted one of the two buds. It only ever has two buds on a spike, and one of them had just started to change colour. When I came down one morning, it was lying on the table. This sits in the top of the conservatory, up in the roof, so it gets lots of light, it gets as warm as it can be, and I let it dry out as much as I can. So, it's a white Cattleya. That's all I can tell you about this one. And I've had it a few years, but it's now doing as well as it's ever done. It's got a good few roots that are really going down into the pot, and they're starting to look a bit like hose pipes. So hopefully this is really going to kick away next year. We might do better again. Dear old Mini Mark, still going. This thing really does not know when to give up. As you can see, it's not just this spike is just going and going and going. It's extending. There's at least 4 or 5 buds still to come on this spike. It's putting out new roots. It has put out a new leaf this year, so we've got lots of roots. It has been repotted this year. It's putting out lots of roots now. It's still doing this, but I'm not giving it bloom fertiliser. I'm giving it growth fertiliser to try and get as much strength into it as I can, and get it motoring. But it's doing all right. That's another one that lives on a northwest facing windowsill. This one is Miltonidium Bartley Schwartz Highland. I always want to call it Barclay James Harvest, which was a pop group from my dim and distant youth. Now this one has got another spike coming over here. These two bulbs don't look too bad, the rest of them look terrible. And the reason is fairly clear to see, and I hadn't realised it until I brought it downstairs. This has lived most of the year, again up on one of those northwest facing windowsills, but you bring it downstairs and you find out it's 2.5 years in the same pot. So I suspect the roots are not doing an awful lot of good. So I think I'm going to let it flower. It's not getting any worse, and there's quite a few pseudo bulbs on here, but it definitely needs a repot, and I might change my mind yet and repot it anyway, because this stuff is not good. That one is occasionally fragrant. It has been very fragrant sometime, but isn't this particular time. And I found that with some plants. I've got a grass here that one blooming absolutely went bananas. I came down one morning, opened the kitchen door, and the scent nearly blew my head off. But it's the only time it's ever put out a very strong scent. This one, the one that I bought as Leodoro but hasn't got much of a scent. My wife says it's got a slight scent, but my sense of smell is not that great. So I hit myself in the face when I was lopping tree branches. Didn't do my face a lot of good, although I didn't realise how much damage I'd done to my sinuses at the time. Anyway, that's by the by. That's a good few years ago now. My sense of smell is not very clever. Might even be genetic, because my old man lost his sense of smell when he got to around my age as well, so it could just be the genes, my dear. But this is another one that just keeps going. It's had several spikes. One of them died back and I cut it off. This one's done nothing for ages, but it's still green. But although it's putting out a new leaf, lots of new roots, which are doing very nicely, lo and behold, we've got another spike showing just in that corner there. I don't know how well you're going to see it, but there's a spike just showing in there. So this is another one where I'm giving it growth rather than bloom, because what I want it to do is put out more leaves and roots. This is probably one of the oddest things I've got. It's a spring dream keiki off my big IKEA plant. Been in flower a little while now. Don't normally bother with putting it in, but I thought I'd stick it in this time and let you have a look at it. It's the weirdest keiki I've ever seen, because it's got roots. It's got no leaves whatsoever, and just 2 flowers on the top. I'm letting it do its own thing, really, just to see what happens. But little white dendrobium nobile type. Right. One that's got nothing to do with me. This is Oncidium sotoanum that I bought about a week ago at the RHS Chelsea Flower Show from the Orchid Society of Great Britain stand for £15. I've repotted it, as you'll have seen from another video. It doesn't seem to have bothered it in the slightest. Everything's happy. These spikes are starting to move towards the light, so that transition has gone okay. It's losing some flowers off the old spikes, but there is a little bit of scent coming off them, so that's nice. It's obviously happier as it is in this material than it was in that peaty soil stuff that it was in when I got it. So I'm glad I did that. Another one that just keeps going on and on and on. This is, of course, Pink Twilight. Huge flowers, you can see by the size against my palm. Probably getting on for 3 inches 75mm across. And that's on a branch, so sometimes the flowers can get even bigger than that. They're not scented, unfortunately, but it's not got much else wrong with it. Very vigorous. It's getting ready for a repot. It's put out an absolutely huge new leaf this year, and lots of roots. So I don't have any fears for that one whatsoever. Another one that's got not a lot to do with me. This is the one that is Doritis, aka now I think Phalaenopsis pulcherrima with the alba form. One spike dropped all its flowers, but it's not gone brown, so I've left it alone. This one still has a few flowers. Oh, hello. We've got some ex-mealybugs up there. I don't know where they've come from. Oh well. They're not there anymore. But these are, again, putting leaves up. They're putting, another one down there that's gone. They're putting roots out. So I think these will be fine. It's obviously quite happy with the conditions I'm giving it. But as I say, not for judging, as they say. An old friend of mine, and one that you've seen a number of times before. This is a no ID fowl. Obviously doing well. We've got roots, we've got leaves, and we've got this spike. Not a lot else you can say. It's very, very pretty in my view. Lovely little small fowl, just a good size. It's probably not much more than a foot with the spike like that, 30 centimetres or so. That's a good size for most people. This one, again, like so many of my plants, normally lives on one of the windowsills facing either southeast or northwest. But at the moment it's sitting in the conservatory on the table so we can enjoy the flowers. And this time of year it's not bad. Minimum temperatures getting down into the mid-teens, high mid-teens you might say, so 16, 17, 18 overnight. It's not getting terribly warm at the moment, but it's doing okay, not showing any signs of distress. I suspect this is going to be the last look we're going to see of this for a while. This is my no ID Voils techiara. Repotted this at the same time that I did the Soto Annan, as you'll have seen in one of my recent videos. There are a couple of new growth nubbins showing up. So I'm really hopeful that we're going to have a plant that will survive and thrive for me. Now, looking at what Voils techiara has got in it, it's got things like odontoglossum or what have you in there, so it may well have been a little bit too warm for it at times, but it's done okay so far. But I'm going to have to be a little bit cuter with it, I think, next year if I want it to really do well. But again, now we're getting into this sort of autumn winter regime. I can shuffle things round I've got to try and shuffle things anyway on the table, because I've got to start bringing in plants from outside as the temperature drops. So I've got all my cymbidiums, which normally go over that side of the conservatory, and then I've got some other plants which come onto the table. In particular, a large epiphyllum cactus. But what I can do is move some of these plants which don't need it that cool, move them up onto the windowsills. I can bring things like Masdevallias in here, I can bring my Miltoniopsis in here, and we can see how we go on with those. But I think shuffling them around in the house as the temperatures change, it's going to be too cold for some things in here. Before long they're going to have to go somewhere that's a bit warmer. There are some where they'll happily come in here, like the Masdevallias, the Miltoniopsis. They'll come in here. I might even bring the Recepias down if I think I can find the room for them. It gives me a chance to keep a closer eye on things, because it's very easy not to look at these enough when they're in another room than the one that you use most often. Anyway, enough of my rabbiting on. I hope that's been some kind of interesting piece. We might have some more, or we should have some different plants in bloom in October. There are a couple more Phalaenopsis that are in spike. There's one of them which I am chuffed to bits to see it come into spike. It's a really deep purpley one I got from one of our local Tesco's quite a number of years ago now, and it's never offered to flower again, and now it has. So that'll be a real treat to see. But I think a lot of the others now, it'll be a while. Oh, yes. Before we go, let's have a quick look at this. This is my no ID catasetum type, probably a Cycnodes or a Cycnoches or something like that, rather than a proper full catasetum. But whatever it is, as you can see, that's the original cane. This is the one that's grown this year, which is far bigger. It must be nearly double the length. It's certainly more than double the width. Sort of quite an oblong shape rather than circular. But we've got quite a nice spike coming there. None of the other areas that showed a white spot earlier on have actually pushed on yet. But I'm looking forward to seeing that. Although, to be absolutely honest, the flowers on that are not the prettiest. It's sort of yellow with brown spots. Anyway, that's me done. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.